Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses. Today we're talking about the media. The dishonest media, as Donald Trump likes to coin the phrase. Well, I don't know. You be the judge. 436-ME-TV option 11. We have a first-time guest here in the studio today to talk about that from an online news service here in the city of Fresno. Today's sponsor is Thomas Casagrande, 2020 Optometrics out at Shaw and Blackstone. Back in a moment. What an interesting week we have lying ahead of us here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. So glad you could join us on this Monday morning for On the Air, Off the Presses. Today we're going to talk about the media. Boy, what a rally Donald Trump had over the weekend. Incredible down there in Florida talking about the media. We'll talk a little bit about that and some other topics on the program today. But I do want to do a quick programming note. Tomorrow, Flynn Anderson is going to be here from Pain. He'll talk about the epidemic in drugs, opioids, painkillers. There is an epidemic, according to most experts here in this country, regarding how we take our drugs, prescription drugs to be more specific. Then on Wednesday, Buddy Mendez, Fresno County Supervisor, is going to be here to talk. Doug Vagum on Thursday, and on Friday, first-time guest, Mayor Lee Brand. When I say first-time guest, it's his first appearance on this program since being elected mayor. So that's what lies ahead on Connect with Me, of course, for this coming week. And happy President's Day, of course, as this program unfolds. We'll talk about President's Day maybe a little bit and Donald Trump. So you're watching us live on Comcast Channel 375 as usual. It's Xfinity Broadcasting. If you don't have Xfinity, hey, not to worry, my friends, because you can watch us over the air broadcast 43.6 or 13.1 over the air Monday through Friday, live at 10 o'clock in the morning. Believe it or not, like it or not, there are your two replays of the day. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube. 8 o'clock tonight on 4.6 Biz TV. And then after that, if you want, you can watch these programs any time of day or night on YouTube. So happy President's Day, or should I say, let me rephrase that, happy Donald Trump Day, all right? Anyway, Donald Trump, the President of the United States, has made people think about how news is gathered. Who's gathering this news? Who's actually writing the news? Who's researching the news? Who is delivering the news? He actually coined the phrase fake news, my friends. Roll the videotape and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about on this Monday morning. Now, millions around the country, maybe even around the world, are talking about how the fake news media is taking a hold of this country, the dishonest news media. I've worked in television broadcasting for the better part of 40 years. I've never once made up a story or enhanced the facts or reported an unconfirmed rumor. It's a different world now, though. Social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, we've all changed the landscape as how we report news. Take this organization, for example. You're looking at it right now, gvwire.com. Say what? gvwire.com. Yes, GV as in Granville Homes of Fresno, with its own startup online news service headed by David Taub, a longtime media veteran, both in radio and television. But wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Granville Homes, that's owned by Darius Assemi, a Fresno home builder. What's he doing in the news business? Are you kidding? And what kind of news is it? Who's watching? For example, we know that my program goes into thousands of homes up and down the Central Valley on Comcast cable TV, and viewers watching with over-the-air digital antenna. What's the target audience for gvwire.com, and what are the issues Taub is covering? Well, he recently did an interview with Michael Hansen, the now ousted Fresno Unified superintendent, before he was given the boot.
All right, another major funder on the No One X campaign is the Charter Schools Association and their various PACs. They said initially that they were behind the Yes and X idea, but they kind of pulled support when they weren't getting a commitment for money for charter schools. So how much money in Measure X is for charter schools, and how come the disagreement, how this rift come about?
Well, so a couple of things. So Daily Charter School is a charter in Fresno Unified, independent charter, and it is in Measure X. So their charter schools are accounted for, at least the one that's in the district. Number two, the Charter Association approached us literally 11th hour, a week before the board was going to take a vote on the bond. Number three, we hoped to go out in this bond for about $420 million, but because of assessed valuation, we could only go out for $225 million and keep the tax rate stable. So there were a lot more projects we wanted to do than we could do.
Live in our studio right now is David Taub, the man in charge at GVWire.com. Yes, indeed, my friends. These are all legitimate questions that we have here today. We'll ask him about that as the program unfolds. As many of you may know or may not know, David and I used to work together at Power Talk 96.7. Are they now defunct? Are they still on the air?
Well, Power Talk's still going on strong.
They're still going strong. The biggest program is Rush Limbaugh. Anyway, we're not here to promote them. We're here to promote GV Wire and my program. Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. 436 MeTV, option 11. Thank goodness, my friends, we're still on the air. That's right. All right, today's program sponsored by Dr. Thomas Casagrande, 2020 Optometrics. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here on the program, connect with me on MeTV Fresno. Good morning, David. How are you?
John, I'm doing fine. It's just another beautiful news day in slightly overcast Fresno.
And rainy. Anyway, so we'll talk about GVWire.com in just a moment here. We got a call right out of the gate here. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with David Taub. What say you about fake news? What say you about news in general? Who's shaping the conversation right now? That's what I want to know.
Okay. I have to agree with John McCain when he said after Trump's tirade that you're hearing the voice of a dictator, and that's true. In a dictatorship, it cannot be free press. It has to be controlled, and that's what he's trying to do.
No, I mean, caller, let me ask you a question, though. Listen, why can't the media be criticized just like any other organization without attacking the First Amendment? No one's attacking the First Amendment. They're attacking what Trump is calling fake news stories. What's wrong with that?
The problem lies in the fact is that we make up these stories about what is right and wrong in our own minds, and if you say it enough times, it becomes true. And that's what he's an egomaniac.
So what you're telling me is the media is off limits. We can't criticize them.
Oh, you can criticize them. Oh, no. Oh, you can criticize them, but you can't control them.
Nobody's talking about controlling them.
Control of the press.
No one's talking about controlling the media. It's criticism that we're talking about.
Well, okay. If this criticism is a form of to take and make something better. But when you've done 18 months plus this past month that he's been in, and all he can do is badmouth somebody, they're like a bully. You keep beating on them or you kick a dog until the dog just doesn't come anywhere near you.
So you think that Donald Trump you think that Donald Trump is the only president who's ever criticized the media? What about Bill Clinton? What about George Bush? What about President Obama?
Thomas Jefferson.
Obama, he got criticized, but he didn't come up with a fake IDs or fake news or anything like this. But the bottom line of it is, you can disagree. Two people can disagree. That's fine. But when you try to take on a whole industry and quiet the whole industry by using threats like when he was going to his, what do you want to call it, when he became a candidate, his convention. Couldn't think of the word. And they said, the guy came on from his group and says, "You will vote for Donald Trump because I know where you live." And he said that many times about other things. And so he is a dictator in training. It's like the reason why his cabinet is always in a turmoil and his administration is in turmoil, because if you ever let the waters settle, it becomes clear what he's up to. And
yeah, but I will say this. I'll make two comments and I'll let you go. The fact of the matter is, you've had Charles Schumer block a lot of his cabinet nominees. He's a Democrat out of New York. You know that for a fact. They're blocking. I think only 12 have actually been approved.
I think a little more than that.
A little more than that. But and the other fact is, I want you to sleep well at night, knowing that there will always be a free press in this country, Donald Trump or no Donald Trump. Are you still there?
Oh yes, I'm just listening to you.
Okay.
Because I have muted and I have to listen to you with the phone, and
you got
your picture up on the screen, but it's here a little about 6 seconds behind.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We'll take one more comment and we got to go.
Well, the bottom line of it is that if you want to get rid of Donald Trump, it's real simple. Tell him take and say that he's number 2. That's all you have to do. Twitter him or whatever you want to do. Email him. Just say you're number 2, but you're number 1 in the UK because they don't want you.
Okay.
And so,
all right.
Anyway.
Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. So, David, we can't criticize the media? Is that what he's saying? Or is he saying that Donald Trump's trying to control the media?
Well, I think every president, any elected official tries to control their message. That is as ancient as the presidency itself. I think Donald Trump has used Twitter differently than any other president or presidential candidate or any other elected official differently in the past. I mean, the volume of his tweets, the nature of his tweets, very unusual for what you'd expect from the president, but that's how he feels to get his message out unfiltered.
Is part of the problem here that the fact that the old guard, NBC, ABC, CBS News, they're the ones that dominated and shaped public opinion across this country for so many decades. And then along comes the alternative media. You had talk show hosts, you had cable news. Who is shaping public opinion now? And is the, quote, traditional media of those 3 networks, are they rankled by the fact that they're no longer shaping public opinion?
I don't know if they're rankled, but I think most people get their news from social media. It's the posts you see on Facebook that they get from whatever source. Sometimes they'll post it from the traditional NBC, CBS, Fox News, but other times you'll hear these sources and the people receiving the media don't really filter them out. They just see the headline, Trump does this, Trump does that, and they take it for a word, whether it's true or not. And I think that's where you get the term, well, it's fake news, because these posts, these explosion of non-traditional media, pretty much anybody who can post a web page is the one that's starting to influence people, because people just don't really realize what they're reading sometimes. If it's on Facebook, if it's on the internet, it has to be true.
Yeah, or if it's on Twitter, or if it's on Snapchat.
Exactly,
or
any
if
social
it's on
media.
BuzzFeed, or perhaps the Atlantic magazine, or perhaps some other news outlet or magazine. But, in my day, it was the 3 networks, and then you had Time and Newsweek, and those are the ones that really shaped public opinion. Also the New York Times, Washington Post. But those publications, hang on, caller, those publications no longer are shaping the views of the American public.
I think so. I mean, the explosion of technology, because everybody gets their news on their iPhone. You know, you don't have to sit at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night and watch the national news. You don't have to tune into the top of the hour on the radio anymore. You don't have to wait weekly at Wednesday when your Time magazine arrives. You get the news when you want, how you want, where you want.
All right, caller, go ahead. You're on the air with David Taub.
Hi, this is Kathy. I'm calling to say I agree with the fact that the Americans have been lied to by the media, but not that it's been perpetrated by the people who are exposing us to the media. It's the whole thing about the government controls the FCC. The FCC controls what the broadcast companies can put on, and through that, the lie has been portrayed. It all goes back to, unfortunately, the bloodline of the presidents, which they've all been related in some one way or another, whether it be removed one time or two times from cousins or what have you.
Okay, so what are you actually saying? Are you saying that the news media is dishonest? Are they not trustworthy?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying they're reporting what they believe to be the truth. But what we're actually seeing is the government controlling what we see. And so in ways like it goes back to like everything that we've ever learned through our history in school has not been the truth. And it's just been perpetuated from that.
What isn't true that you learned in history? I'm just curious.
Well, everything.
Everything?
Well, I mean,
really?
like, well, it goes back to the Bible too. I mean, everything about the Bible is the written word is true. However, but the people who are saying they're, I want to stay out of the Bible though. This is about religion or politics, which it doesn't matter in politics. If you go down a Democratic road or the Republican road, we're going to go the same way. We're headed to the same spot. It's just a matter of the Democrats were able to. The Illuminati is basically what is going on here. I know a lot of people don't believe in the Illuminati, but they are real and they are Satan worshipers. And because of that, everything that we've ever been told about God, anything like that, has been an insidious trap. And I believe that the media is portraying what they believe to be the truth. And that, like Trump saying ISIS isn't real. No, they are real.
Who's saying ISIS isn't real?
Trump. I actually heard Trump say that on TV one time, that ISIS was a farce, that it was a fake.
Barack Obama called ISIS the JV squad.
I've never heard Donald Trump say that.
Yeah, I think she's maybe referring to Barack Obama calling
I think
ISIS Arcade the JV squad. But
yeah. I think you're mistaken about that. I think it was President Obama who thought that ISIS didn't exist and it was a JV squad, like David said.
Well, I actually watched it come out of Trump's mouth, and Obama may have said that as well. But I want to say that every single president, with the exception of one, has been related in one way or another to a bloodline, and that bloodline has to do with the Illuminati. And the Illuminati has been an undercover thing that they wanted to be kept a secret society, but because of the agenda that they had fallen behind because of the Republicans in office, because Republicans are conservative and they couldn't put the agenda of the Illuminati on the table, so they went.
You know, it sounds like a script of a House of Cards.
Yeah.
Well, that's what America's built on, is a House of Cards. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
and I've done many years of
you really are a conspiracy theorist. There's no question about that. You don't believe in history. Well, you don't believe in anything, do you?
No, I do. I have faith. But the thing is that the word conspiracy, I want to clear this up. Conspiracy intimates that someone is crazy or believing things that aren't real. That is not the truth. The word conspiracy, for people who have done their research, actually means that they are in line with the truth. And so I just want to put that word conspiracy aside for a moment, if we could, because that word right there will turn a lot of people off. But I suggest that people get online or open books and do their own research on the history of America. The truth is that prior to America being born, the Illuminati was already in control. They were formed in pre-America, May 1st, 1776. And it wasn't until July 4th, 1776, that America was formed. And because they were already in control, everything that we have been told has been exaggerated or diminished in one way or another.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. David, you want to respond to that unusual call that we just had there?
You're a very patient man, John Malice.
No. Go ahead, David. The floor is yours.
Every politician wants to control their message. They're going to hold their news conferences. They're going to say what they want, and they're going to answer the questions the way they want to. It's a classic politician trait. You ask them one question, they answer another. So I don't think it's specific to any party. I don't think it's specific to any office. I've asked state leaders, federal leaders, local leaders, and if they don't really want to answer the question, they won't. And if they don't really want to talk to you, they won't. So conspiracy theories, bloodlines, I'm not sure I follow all that. Illuminati. Like I said, I think it's better left for a script of House of Cards.
Well, okay, I got a phone call here. Hang on, caller. Well, we're talking about the Illuminati. You're talking about a new world order. I mean, I've heard this theory before that there is that every president comes in and they follow the world order. There's a new world order that they're following, but it's really not a new world order. It's an old world order that's been in place since 1776. You've heard the same thing, I'm sure.
Well, listen, I believe the United States has always believed that, exceptionalism. Barack Obama may have not believed completely American exceptionalism, but I believe Donald Trump does. Listen, when you say New World Order, I think Hulk Hogan, so I'm not going to worry too much about that.
All right, caller, you're on the air with David Taub. Quickly, we got to take a break, but we'll take the call. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Paulette from Kerman, California.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what I have to say is just briefly that the media, to me, if you go to certain stations, especially on world news, they all have different people that they favor. They give you the information, but they make it sound in a way that they're either against our president or for our president. And that really, really bothers me because of the fact that a lot of people don't understand or don't look into the issue further, and so their mind is made up, and it's not correct. If you really look into all the things that are said, the things that they skip over briefly are the ones that you should really look at. I mean, everybody's out there protesting, and everybody has the right to protest. But the middle class and the people that voted for President Trump don't have the time. They're working, they're raising their families. They don't get together and go out and protest. They express themselves through the vote and through the way they felt. And this president has done more than any other president has done in the days that he's been in office. So I want to know what you think about that.
I agree with that. There was a recent political cartoon I saw where the donkey had a bunch of a motley crew behind him. Hey, these are my protesters. Where are yours? Speaking to an elephant who had nobody behind him. The elephant says, well, mine are working. I believe that the media, really, the 2016 presidential election, got it wrong. All these polls kind of indicated a little bit of bias, that the polls wanted to give the results they wanted to hear, and they were way off. So, the only poll that counts is the one that's held on Election Day, and Donald Trump hit these Midwestern states, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Minnesota.
Yeah, he won them because of as James Carville said, it was the economy, stupid. It wasn't for any of these social justice reasons. It wasn't because Donald Trump was portrayed as somebody less than desirable. It's because they believed that Donald Trump had the best economic plan. And it's that simple. If you want to reason why Donald Trump was elected by such a large margin in the Electoral College, that is why.
All right. David Taub is here from GVWire.com. We'll talk to him about, on the other side of the break, what this is all about. Darius Assemi, the owner of Granville Homes, he's a home builder. Is he in the news business? We'll talk about that briefly as we come back from this show here. We're going to take a time out. Thomas Casagrande, 2020 Optometrics, is our sponsor today. Back in a moment.
The following is another list of things you will not hear on MeTV programs. Man cave, baby bump, whatevs, double half-calf mochaccino, full hog, redonkulous, totes adorbs, hella, holla, YOLO, cray-cray. And MeTV is still Kardashian-free. This is what you will hear on MeTV programs.
Welcome, Benno. The Twilight Zone. About the Bulls.
I object, Your Honor.
Mr. Grant.
I hear you right. You heard me right.
MeTV. Thanks for listening.
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. Back here on the program, got another call coming in for David Taub. Go ahead. You're on the air, caller. What's your question?
Oh, it's not just. I think the president just has to come to realization that he's won the election, okay, and he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He won the election, so he doesn't have to prove to the press that I am the president, and he doesn't have to lie to the press and say, well, this is my message, or make himself sound bigger than he is by giving incorrect or inaccurate information. He just has to say, I'm the president, and he just has to do his job. He has said he's going to do certain things during the campaign trail, and he just has to start working on that stuff, and not worry about things that he can't control, like the media. I mean, he can, when the media's going to ask him questions and stuff, and if he doesn't know the answer, there's no shame in saying, well, I don't know this at the time, I haven't been briefed on it or whatever, and then continue on. But like, he tries to give inaccurate information when he doesn't know an answer, and then gets caught on it, and then that makes him look really bad and really dumb. He keeps fighting with the press, and it's like, well, why fight with the press? You're the president. If they don't like you, well, that's great. I mean, what president in this country has never been liked completely by the press? It's just a matter of, here's the information, from the executive office. Here is the information that you're asking for. Here's the questions, here's the answers, and that's it. And that's all there is to it. You don't have to craft your information by giving inaccuracies.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point. That's probably the best call of the day. Why doesn't he do that, David? Over the weekend, he made this outlandish statement about Sweden. You heard about it. He said, just look what's going on in Sweden with terrorism and all the immigrants. I mean, it turned out to be a false and inaccurate statement. He happened to be watching Fox News late at night, and he had a report about a lot of immigrants coming into Sweden, but no terrorist attack. So why doesn't he do just like what the caller suggested? He's the president. Take a Valium, take 10 steps back, realize I've got the job, I'm going to do what I want to do, and let them say what they want to say. Why?
A lot of people are asking that question. They're just waiting. When is President Trump going to start to govern? He's still on campaign mode. He held the event in Florida on Friday or on Saturday. They're waiting. He needs a filter. He needs to act a little more presidential on Twitter. He needs to act a little bit more like the adult on the room. And you're right. He won the election. Start acting like you're the president instead of blaming the media, calling out the media, even though a lot of people feel the same way he does, and he's probably just carrying their voices through Twitter, through lashing out at them at press conferences. But you won. Whether people want to admit to it or not, he's the president. It's time to start.
All right, let's change topics here just a little bit, and that is the fact that you work for GVWire.com. We have another phone call coming in. Let's take that, and we'll talk to you about GVWire a bit here. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with David Taub, GVWire.com, an online news organization just newly formed. Go ahead.
Yes, I have a comment. Everyone is making comments about Donald Trump winning the popular vote. The people voted for Hillary. He did not win the popular vote.
Doesn't
He
matter.
won the electoral
Well, that's true.
college vote.
Doesn't matter.
But sir, you're going to tell us that Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes in the popular vote. That's true. But you know how much she won in California alone? She won by 4 million votes in California alone. So if you take 49 of the 50 states, Donald Trump won the popular vote. Just one perspective of looking at it.
He didn't win the popular vote. He won the electoral college. The people voted for Hillary. The
But
people.
that's not how elections are won.
I'm aware of that. We have the capability today to count every man and woman's vote. Back in the day, the Electoral College was created because everyone.
I'm gonna stuck.
The Electoral College was created because we did not have the media that we have today.
Listen.
Today we have the media, and everyone's vote can be counted today.
I want to ask you a question.
Everyone's vote was not able to be counted back in the day when the Electoral College was generated. That's why they brought it into conception.
Can I ask you a question?
Because hold on. Because all the small counties and territories and little provinces, they had no representation. Today they do. Today our votes can be counted. We have computers today. Back in the day, we had horses and carrots.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Sure.
If Hillary Clinton would have won the Electoral College and Donald Trump would have won the popular vote by 3, 4, 5 million votes, would you be saying the same thing?
Yes, because the same thing happened back in the day when Bush ran against with the Gore thing.
Are you a Democrat or a Republican?
I'm a human.
Are you a Democrat or a Republican?
I don't take sides on parties. I vote for the person that is most responsible and the person
and who did you vote for in the election?
That's none of your business.
Okay.
And that doesn't count.
But it does count. It does count because it says a lot about your narrative.
It says nothing about my narrative.
It most certainly does, because if you're favor one candidate or the other.
It says that, I'm making the point. I'm making the point that the system that we have needs to be destroyed. It's archaic. Okay? We have the ability today to count every man and woman's vote because I don't need someone to represent me in my vote.
It sounds like you're. It sounds like you're.
That was back in the day when we had the ability to count every man and woman's vote.
It sounds like you're a bitter person who voted for Hillary Clinton.
They were counting votes by hand.
Are you bitter that Donald Trump won the election?
Pardon me?
Are you bitter that Donald Trump won the election? Sounds
no,
like
I'm
you're
not bitter. I'm not bitter that. I'm not bitter like that.
Sounds like you're
I'm making
angry.
a point. No, I'm making a point, and you don't get the point. The point is our system sucks. The point is our system can be made better, that we can honestly count every man and woman's vote today, and we can represent ourselves. We don't need to be represented by another person. Let me make another point. This is another point. It's the same thing. It's just like I can pick up a Bible and I can read the Bible and interpret the Bible myself. I don't have to go to a church or a synagogue or somewhere to have someone interpret the Bible for me and tell me what the Bible is saying. You see what I'm saying? I can decipher that myself and make my own determination.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing in government.
I don't think that we want an election where California, Chicago, or Illinois.
This is not California, Chicago. This is the United States.
And
this is
New York
every man and woman here that has the
election.
capability to vote. That's what that's all about.
Everybody has the ability to vote. Everybody has the ability to vote. The discussion is whether or not some of those votes are legitimate. The other issue that I was trying to bring up is the fact that
this is my point. We can tell us the votes are legitimate if the computer counts them.
But you may have dead people voting.
You can put in your information, just like right now. If you cannot access my credit card information, and it's the same thing. If I go to the ATM card, I put in my code. You couldn't access it. I can go to the ATM and vote, and it would be the same thing. It would be counted in the same manner.
What do you think about having voter IDs? If you don't have an ID, you don't vote.
Listen, you have a Social Security number.
Okay.
Okay, you can call that a voter ID, but I don't believe in having a voter ID. That's like segregating.
Why not? Then you have a bunch of people who are illegal voting, or maybe dead people voting.
Okay, listen.
There's no other way to verify.
Access my ATM card. A dead person can't access my ATM card. So you can vote with your ATM card.
Really, you think so, huh?
just Russian hackers.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't want California, Illinois, and New York deciding our elections, and that's what would happen if we went to a popular vote.
Well, what's wrong with that? They're people. They are the
So you want to ignore the rest of the country.
If California split off from the rest of the United States, we'd be the 5th largest or most powerful country in the world.
You want to cut off the rest of the country for California, Illinois, and New York.
I'm making a point. Move to California then.
You want to cut off the rest of the country.
Move to California.
Well, sign the petition. Cal exit. Sounds like you support it.
Yeah. Sign the petition. There's a petition out there. It's like David said. Cal exit. Yeah, go ahead and sign it. But what I'm saying is I don't want 3 states in this union dominating our election. The rest of the country counts too. Iowa counts, South Carolina counts, Minnesota counts, Wisconsin counts. And if you went to a popular vote, those states would not count as much as they do now.
Well, those people in those states need to move to California.
I'm sure they could if they could afford it.
Well, what I'm saying is that what's wrong with people being in California and voting? Their votes don't count?
Of course they count.
Because the majority of people live in a certain area, that means you're saying that their votes shouldn't be counted.
The Electoral College was designed so the entire country is part of the process. And the entire country should be a part of the process. It's always been that way. And it should stay
I'm aware of that, but my point is that with the computer technology that we have today, we can count every man and woman's vote. Because back in the day, they didn't have the ability to do that. That's why the Electoral College came into
It sounds like it, yeah. It sounds like we're talking about 2 completely different issues. It was designed so the entire country takes part, and you can't, you never hear this when the president wins the Electoral College and loses the popular vote. That's the only time this comes up. It never comes up any other time, David.
You know what?
It happens,
there's a method to change it.
It happens either whether or not a Democrat and or a Republican will win. Both the opposing sides will say the same. They'll have the same argument.
Right.
But anyway, I appreciate your taking my call, and thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day, sir. Thank you much. Do you want to respond to that? There's a lot there.
The Constitution provides methods to change it. It's hard. It's supposed to be hard. But, for those who say popular vote only, representation, it's not fair. Think of it within California. How much representation does Fresno really have in Sacramento? If there was an electoral college system in California as there is for the United States, then maybe an area like Fresno might have a little more say. Right now the Sacramento legislature is dominated by Northern California and Southern California. And Fresno, well, hey, it's good to have Jim Patterson. It's good to have Joaquin Arambula be our voice in Sacramento. But, how much can they get done when they're drowned out because they don't have as much representation or power?
Yeah. All right. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with David Taub. Short on time here, so quickly, what's your call? What's your call about? What's your question?
Just a quick one from your last person that called. He's such a leftist. I can't believe he wants California to run America. That's all I have to say.
I think that's the first time in broadcast history where a quick call actually was a quick call.
Yeah, that was a quick call. Okay, the other guy wants California to completely dominate everything, and we can't have that. But anyway, 436-MeTV option 11 if you want to call in. And a lot of times when we get a good call, like we did the previous one, the one that was just before this one here, sometimes we kind of let them go because it's interesting television, my friends. We like to let people rant here. It's your ranting time between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. It gives people incentive to call in. Call in at 436-MeTV option 11. Thomas Casagrande, our sponsor today. Back in a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. Oh, back here on the program, and so what say you about the media in this country? What say you about the election? What say you to David Taub about GVWire.com? We haven't even, we've got so many calls. We haven't even gotten to what GVWire.com is all about. We will, I promise, before this show ends. Caller, you're on the air. Please make it quick. Thank you very much.
Hey, I just wanted to let that guy before the other guy know, he needs to feed those puppies. I've never heard so much whining in the background there, whining and bitching. I don't know, maybe the puppies were speaking instead of him, but, California, just repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the Republic of the, okay, it's the Republic, not the democracy. And like you guys said, if we win it alone, California, if old Jerry, old eyebrows there, if he split off from the Union here, Central California would still be screwed. We don't have enough blue dog Democrats to keep us, keep us relevant here. Everything's done over on the coast. This guy's on glue. I don't know what his deal is. Now, this guy sitting next to you there, he hasn't said anything all day. Is his boss a conservative? I'll tell you why he has his own radio station if he tells me what affiliation his boss is.
What are you wait a minute. What are you talking about? David doesn't work for a radio station. He works for GVWire.com, an online news service. His boss is Darius Assemi, a home builder here in Fresno.
Okay, what is Darius? Is he a Republican or a Democrat?
I don't know.
I believe he leans a little bit Republican, but, have Darius on it and explain it to you.
Well, all right, look, I don't want to get you in trouble because I like you, David.
I've heard the story. I've heard the story before.
Okay. We invited Darius on, but he is just notoriously known for showing up late. And he called here like 20 minutes to 10 and said he was going to be here at 10:30. No, it doesn't work that way. The show starts at 10. So we will have him on if he shows up on time, Darius. Anyway, caller, go ahead. Go ahead. There's Darius. There's our friend Darius Assemi. But anyway, caller, we're short on time, so we gotta scoot along here. Go ahead. Caller?
Yes, this is Kathy again. I just want to say that if you want to put the word conspiracy to anything, it should be on the voting system. When electoral college voting was instilled in America, that was just to perpetuate the whole thing. And you can't touch on the media and what they're portraying to American citizens without touching on these other subjects.
Gotcha.
They are all intertwined.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get into the fact that you work for GVWire.com. I want you to explain what that is, and how did it get started, and what stories do you cover? What's your target audience? I want to take the rest of the program to talk a little bit about this and some of the issues facing Fresno.
Well, GVWire.com, we cover Fresno. Our slogan is the people, place, and politics of Fresno. So we try to cover, right now focusing on City Hall issues.
Yeah.
We also focus on some of the immigration stories that are coming to Fresno. We've done a great series on the Syrian immigrants who have come to our town.
We have some photos of the Syrian immigrants. What have you focused there? What's your focus on that?
Right, it's just a multi-part series that we kind of focus one overall on the issue, how we got here from the wars in Syria, from Assad to how we got him. There's Zafar Khashoggi. We interviewed him specifically about his story. Zafar Khashoggi had an amazing story of escaping from Syria, how he got to America. Yes, he was vetted. Yes, he loves America.
Hang on, caller.
I think it's important telling those stories, giving a little different narrative that you're not going to hear all the time. Not that the mainstream media isn't covering it, but I think GVWire.com, we're a non-traditional media. We provide a little bit of a different voice, a little bit of a different perspective, and covering
issues. Is it a newsroom setting or just interviews? What is it?
A little bit. It's covering issues, trying to explain things like the $70 million of cap and trade money that's going to come to Fresno. There was a meeting in downtown last week. Decide how are you going to spend $70 million in Fresno? And there are a lot of different ideas. Some people want to spend it in and around downtown high-speed rail. A lot of people want to spend it in West Fresno. And when you have that much money on the line, there's going to be a lot of debate. And a lot of people are not happy when we get to the end results.
Yeah, I want to continue this conversation. I'm going to put this caller on hold. Caller, you're going to have to hold because I want to dig deeper into this. I want to roll a piece of videotape, an interview you did with one of the movers and shakers of this town, a big one too. And he's kind of a Johnny-come-lately. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a derogatory term, but he's kind of he's trying to. I think when you see the transformation of downtown, I think Jake Soberall, a Bitwise, is the guy at the center of that transformation. David did an interview with Jake. Let's roll it, and you'll listen to it.
Well, obviously, the expansion here, South Stadium, now it's Bitwise 41. I mean, that's a lot of financing. How does the financing work? How do you get the money to help renovate all these buildings?
Sure. Well, the important part about them is this isn't these aren't incubators, right? These are real projects that pencil. And so just like any other real estate developer, we work alongside with banks and private funding to make these projects come to life.
Is there an estimate like how many millions you're pouring into downtown?
So this wave of projects will probably cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million.
Wow, where do you get $40 million from?
Let me know if you find out.
I mean, I'm sure you're a well-off guy, but I don't know if your bank account's that big.
It certainly isn't. No, you have to work alongside partners, and so the ability to partner with Paul Queering and Eric Wilkins and Will Dyke on this project make it possible.
Now, as we stand here, our country is on the precipice of a transition of power. President Trump about to be inaugurated. How are your feelings of President Trump coming in? Do you think it's going to help small businesses or big businesses like yours?
So it is always exciting to see a presidential inauguration, and I know this one comes with a lot of nerves, and I don't know what the future holds there, but I do know that sort of the ideals that make America America belong to us, and we're doing some exciting things with them here in Fresno.
All right, the interview with Jake Soberall. So he's kind of like Donald Trump. He partners with people who have money. He doesn't specifically have it. But so when I go to gbwire.com, it's a website with a collection of these news items, interviews that you've done with movers and shakers, and also interviews with people that talk about certain topics, like maybe you've touched on the city of Fresno not being a sanctuary city. Maybe you've touched on Dylan Noble. Maybe you've touched on the slumlord issue, which is a huge issue here in the city of Fresno, and also Police Chief Jerry Dyer. I guess he's pretty secure right now. He's in until 2020, I believe. I could be off on that date. So is this did I describe that in a nutshell, gbwire.com?
I think so. It's not necessarily going to be breaking news. It's not going to be the everyday news they have in Fresno. You have your TV news, you have your radio, you have the Fresno Bee for that. But it's going a little more in depth in issues, like you mentioned, going a little more in depth in Dylan Noble, other police incidents, going a little more in depth in the $70 million of cap and trade funds that's coming to Fresno, a little bit more in depth about the issues surrounding.
That's Dylan Noble there that we just saw.
Right.
Go ahead.
A little more in depth about the rental inspection program, especially the argument over the Fourth Amendment.
Right, and how about some of the refugees that are coming in? You mentioned the Syrian refugees, and we have some shots of the border of people climbing the wall. Should Fresno be a sanctuary city? Lee Brand, the new mayor, has said no, it's not. But we're going to follow the protocol of many other cities around the country. We're not really going to enforce.
Well, this is a rare circumstance where you have both the pro-sanctuary cities and the anti-sanctuary city crowd both angry at Lee Brand. Initially in that Fresno Bee interview, he said, we're not a sanctuary city, and he's repeated that time and time again. But then a week later, he had that news conference with kind of the pro-sanctuary city crowd behind him, kind of walking back his statement a little bit, and that got the conservative crowd of Fresno a little upset about him. So it's that rare circumstance where you have the conservative crowd and the liberal crowd angry at Lee Brand over the same issue. And
you have both sides that are a little bit angry at Lee Brand.
Yeah,
right
I think could Lee Brand have handled this issue better? I think he's pretty clear Fresno's not a sanctuary city. But then a week later, he may have muddled up his message a little bit, and that's got him really the...
What was his first statement? His first statement was...
Fresno is not a sanctuary city. That was pretty clear. Right. And he actually repeated that again. But a week after he made that initial statement, he held a news conference at City Hall.
Backing off.
A little, I don't know if you call it backing off, but saying, I don't really know what the definition of a sanctuary city is. That, in essence, it's always been police policy, or a long time police policy, that they're not going to ask you what your immigration status is when they pull you over.
And gbwire.com, what's your role in all of these issues?
To cover it, to talk to the people.
In depth?
I think so. I mean, in depth.
More in depth than, say, just doing like a breaking news flash.
Exactly. We're not going to be going out to the latest homicide investigation. We're not going to be going out to the latest accident. That's not the focus of GV Wire. We want to, take complicated things and help them break it down a little bit, so at least I can understand them, and then maybe our readers can understand
I'll
them.
get to the caller in a moment. I want to put up a picture of some of the slumlords and some of the slumlord action here in the city of Fresno. How have you handled that story? There's Chris Henry, public enemy #1 for a long time here. I don't know if he's cleaned up his act, but you know the story there maybe better than I do. Go ahead.
Yes, Somerset Apartments was really what put the slumlord issue on Fresno's consciousness. I mean, to say that he is the first one or the only one, it's just not going to be true. But when November of 2015, when I guess people discovered the living conditions of the Somerset Apartments in Southeast Fresno, that really got City Hall on it. They created a couple of task force, and then later, towards the end of 2016, they finally had some ordinances for City Council to vote on, the rental inspection ordinances.
Yeah, the Hotel California too.
Right, that's similar, but it's a little bit of a separate issue.
A little bit different because that was more of a motel type situation.
Right. But you have the big debates that initially the council is going to vote on it in December 2016 on Mayor Ashley Swearingen's plan. But since Lee Brand was the mayor-elect, he was on council, the council decided, you know what, we're going to let Lee Brand hold this one. So we're going to not vote on Swearingen's plan in December.
And they voted on that.
And we're going to
already.
hold off to February, and Brand came up with this plan. Some
And
people...
it passed.
It passed 4-3. It was contentious. And nobody's saying... None of the councilmen who voted against it saying that we want to ignore the issue, but what's the best way of tackling it? Is it to have rental inspectors go into every single unit, or a sampling of every single unit, which is what the eventual ordinance was? And then the number one reason why they were against it was Fourth Amendment concerns.
David, what are we going to get different by going to gvwire.com on our computers and learning about these issues? Anything different than what you're going to get from the Fresno Bee, or maybe Connect with Me, or maybe some radio talk show? What's going to be different about that? And George Hostetter, he works for another online news service. So
Right.
there's your competition right there for another online news
Right.
service.
I love George.
Yeah, I like George, and George is going to come on this program in just a few weeks. But so what are we going to get that's different?
I think you're going to get a little more in-depth, kind of explaining a little bit about these issues that really kind of in the weeds of City Hall, without getting too much in the weeds of City Hall, especially this rental inspection ordinance. In the next coming weeks, the safe haven is going to be talked about at Fresno Unified. I want to talk about, with interviews and with the great editing and news team I have, Ro Barunda and Veronique Wirtz.
How big a news team do you have? Okay, so you're the on-camera guy. How many news photographers? How many editors do you have? How many website people do you have?
Working on GV Wire, about 4 to 5 people helping me out. And then
Okay.
they help with the editing, they help with the creativity. It's a team effort, and I'm just, I'm the main face of it. I'm the guy talking with you on the
Yeah. What's your title there?
Reporter.
Reporter. Okay. And what about the marijuana issue? There's marijuana obviously legal to smoke now in California, but in terms of commercial sales, I asked Steve Brandow this: will the city council and the new mayor allow commercial sale of marijuana in the city of Fresno? Selma has banned it. You can still use it, but you can't sell it commercially. What about that story? That's a big one that's looming.
I think so. I've seen the billboards. There's a billboard in Ashland as you kind of head towards the Costco. It's saying, get to know how to do it legally. And I think it's coming. It hasn't been an issue that's brewing yet, but you're right. It's bubbling underneath the surface, and sooner or later it's going to come. And I think there's, knowing what we know about Mayor Brand and City Council, they probably don't want commercial marijuana sales, but it depends on how the interpretation of the law is, and if somebody's willing to take it to court. And GBY will be there to cover it, to see how this goes.
All right, you got 2 big issues. You got Jerry Dyer. Is he going to stay on?
As long as he wants, and Mayor Brand has indicated that he wants Chief Dyer to stay on, so I think he will until the end of his current contract extension.
And we know about the Dylan Noble case. There are lawsuits all over the place on this one, as there are with the Northeast water contamination story. Lawsuits coming out everywhere. In fact, some of these out-of-town attorneys are filing lawsuits as well. Are these issues, you have a big enough team where you can cover all of these critical issues?
I think we do. But, as far as what's going to happen, if you're asking me about the future of the Noble lawsuit and the water lawsuit, it's going to be settlements. I mean, the smart money would be on settlements.
Settlements, yeah, for many of these cases, and you guys will be there to cover it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Caller, you've been waiting, you've been very patient. Go ahead quickly because we're so short on time. What's your comment?
I'll make it as quick as possible. I have seen people jump the border fence at multiple crossings within line of sight of border guards, and they just let it go. They just let it go. I have seen slumlords, and they actually just pretty much say, oh, nobody's going to do anything about it. Why should I care? I want to say
Quickly,
I have had people argue with me that Wikipedia is true, and even the people that run Wikipedia admit that people can change the content. What makes your show honest and true?
Good
I
question.
wish you all the very best.
All right. What makes your show honest and true?
I think that you just take a look at our writing, you take a look at our videos. We try to do things from a fair perspective. You know, if there are multiple people to talk to, we'll talk to multiple people if they're willing to talk with us. You know, we try not to say that anybody is completely unbiased. I think it's just human nature. There's always going to be a little bit of bias, but you try to counter that.
Yeah.
You try to filter that out. And we want to tell the truth.
Hey, there you are interviewing Robert Kennedy Jr., by the way, who was here in Fresno for a big rally on immigration, right?
Partially immigration, and partially there was a court case he was working on regarding Monsanto and labeling that, you know, the people he was advocating for won, at least in this round. That happened to be in the Fresno County Civil Courthouse. So he was there, and yeah, he was there later on. He held he's part of a rally for immigration, and there's been a lot of them. There was one this past weekend. You know, they're very mobilized, you know, but, you know, being mobilized is one thing, getting out to the ballot box is another.
What makes us believe that whatever we see, whether it's on gvwire.com, whether it's on Connect With Me, whether it's in the Fresno Bee, how can viewers or readers be assured that it's true?
I think you have to just sometimes filter it for yourself. You read it for yourself, and you say, does this seem biased? Does this seem true? Does this seem credible? I mean, sometimes it's really on the reader. That no, not everything you see is on the internet. Not everything you see on TV is true. You know, sometimes people interpret the facts how they want to interpret. Sometimes they leave out things. Sometimes they include things that really aren't necessary that may cloud the message. So ultimately, as the consumer of news media, you have to be a little news media literate and ask themselves the question, who is this source? Who is this person? What's their credibility? Is what they're saying or writing or what they put on TV, can I believe it? Is this true? Is it credible? And it takes a little bit on the consumer themselves.
Yeah, I mean, really the whole object of this show is to ask questions. We have guests like you, and the mayor's coming on Friday, is to probe and find out where this person is coming from. What kind of statements is he making on immigration? What kind of statements is he making about Jerry Dyer or a sanctuary city or, you know, Dylan Noble or the case about the Northeast water contamination story that's ongoing? You know, my job here on this program is to probe and ask deep questions of those who are on here, especially political figures, to find out where they stand on the issues.
Well, there's nothing more dangerous than asking somebody a question, especially asking a question they may not like to answer.
On live TV.
Especially on live TV, on tape TV.
Well, on tape, it's a little different. You can edit it, but
True.
When it's live, you can't take it back.
That's true. And sometimes they will try to answer a different question from the one you asked them. It's as a member of the media, as a journalist, as you are, as I am, as Fresno Bee, as Channel 30 is, you have to keep people honest. And sometimes that means being uncomfortable with them. That's what you have to do. That's our role as journalists.
20 seconds. Is there such a thing as fake news, as Donald Trump said, yes or no?
I think so. You go to Facebook. Yes, but be a literate media consumer. Know where your source is coming from and trust it yourself.
All right, David Taub, thank you very much. It's gvwire.com, so go there and check it out if you can. Check them all out. Don't limit yourself to the information. Go to all these websites and check out the information. David's got some great interviews with some local people about the very important critical issues facing the city of Fresno. Back tomorrow with Flint Anderson. There's an epidemic in this country involving prescription drugs. Got to watch this one. Have a good day.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more.